Are you sick of finding awful loot in every chest you open? Have you just found your third guide to plant fiber cordage in a row? Do you hate playing Terraria? Well, look no further. The randomized chest mod has you covered. This mod is Terraria's answer to Das Kapital. Everybody is entitled to some goodies. And you will see that with this mod enabled, progression gets a little bit wacky, a little bit silly, and a little bit goofy. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the video. The playthrough began as all playthroughs must, with the creation of our protagonist. I thought because all we'll be doing in this playthrough is searching for chests and treasure, a pirate character would be fitting. I modeled my character after Blackbeard, even giving him power for historical accuracy, but I accidentally named him Davy Jones for some reason. Anyhow, I loaded into the world and immediately began felling trees so that I could begin building housing. I'm just busting your balls, of course. We went scouring the surface for any chests we could find. I quickly found my first cave, whereby I was blessed with 5 gold coins from the pirate gods. And just as quick as I had acquired the gold, I had it stolen from me by a giant Shelley, and in my rage, I swore vengeance against the wretched beast. I tried going back into the cave to retrieve my stolen goods, before giving up and looking elsewhere for a chest. It was nighttime and the area was littered with monsters, but I had finally found my first chest. And oh boy, was it a treat. We got Red Riding leggings, which provided us with 16 defense and a bonus of 20% increased movement speed and 20% increased summon damage. We also found a bone key and, most importantly, a Sergeant United shield. This meant I was now able to exact my revenge against those who had stolen from me, and that was exactly what I did. Anyhow, after my vengeance was complete, progression began to speed up pretty quickly. The next chest I found contained a fire gauntlet and, more importantly, Betsy's wings, which basically covered our mobility needs for the early game. After that I got cocky and thought I could beat the brain, and I probably could have if I was able to break Grimtane blocks. But I couldn't, so I went to the jungle in search of more chests, where I found a small sum of restoration potions, a Yellets, a chlorophyte claymore, hellfire treads, and 4,631 Skeletron Prime treasure bags, which I used to extract a modest 10 platinum to get me prepared for the Eye of Cthulhu. That was, of course, a joke. I went straight to the dungeon to defeat Skeletron and gain access to all of those gold chests. Like a true pirate!
There be treasure!
Now that I think about it, the old man must have been pretty scared seeing me with a bone key. And his fears were justified because I gave him a Cleveland steamer with the help of the Yellets. And with that, I went in to the dungeon. I first looted the surface chest and conveniently got 940 gold keys, which set me up pretty well for the dungeon. In my first dungeon chest, I got a Daedalus Stormbow, which was pretty mid. Crazy I'm able to say this pre-War of Flesh. I also freed the mechanic, allowing her to be eviscerated by skeletons. I continued opening dungeon chests, finding some pretty good accessories, such as the Berserker's Glove and the Celestial Shell. I also got some pretty cool weapons, including the Starlight, explosive trap staff, although I couldn't use that, and the Christmas Sword. I was also able to get my hands on a turtle helmet, a shrimpy truffle, and even an Ankh shield. I went into the dungeons a boy, and came out a man.
Shut your bitch ass up!
After getting out the dungeon, I had 2 priorities. Get life crystals, kill Wall of Flesh. At this point, I was curious about how quick I could beat the game. I immediately began building NPC housing so the demolitionist could come in and I could create a elevator. Whilst I waited for the NPCs to move in, I made my way to the underground jungle in search of life crystals and chests. As I was doing that though, it occurred to me that I could just use the jungle as my highway to hell as opposed to making an elevator. Continuing my search for chests and life crystals, I got IRA'd by a dead man's chest. However, I'd consider it a chest worth dying for, as it contained 2,000 orichalcum anvils. Orichalcum anvils that will surely be very useful to craft weapons, because I probably won't happen upon any other ones better than the Christmas tree sword, right? Well, it was at least useful creating hollowed plate mail. The Eye of Cthulhu then challenged me to a duel. He will not make the same mistake twice. I didn't like the idea of having to travel to the jungle every time I went to hell, so I decided to make a elevator anyway. I then IRA'd myself, thanks to a gold chest. But it's okay, because a few chests later I got moderately lucky with a frugal offering from the gods of 2,000 Luminite bars. This made me very excited, before realizing I couldn't use them pre-pillars. I then found myself a needed pickaxe upgrade in the form of the Stardust pickaxe, which I realized I could use to break into the Lizardian temple early and gain access to all the chests there. I would say it was worth it, as I found a lifetime supply of life fruit, which saved me some time. And then, in perhaps the luckiest find of the run, I found a Rod of Harmony. At this point, I was starting to think it might be even easier than previously thought, and on top of that, my lucky streak continued when I found voodoo dolls in a sea chest, saving me what was bound to be at least an hour standing aimlessly in hell. I was pretty confident that I could beat the Fleshman with relative ease, and I was right. Upon entering hard mode, I wasted no time in beginning my search for Souls of Night in order to spawn the Destroyer. In doing so, I found the Companion Cube and naturally found the nearest pool of lava to torture it with. Soon after, a strange-looking fella called Jaron the Jungle Tyrant arrived in my Soviet block. I was very confused. He mostly sold Calamity Vanities and crappy wings, so I must have left some random Calamity mod on. Anyhow, I continued on to build a terrible arena for the mech bosses, completely destroying this forest's carbon sink in the process. Waiting for the night, I went looking for other chests, and just when I thought I couldn't get any luckier, I came across the solar eruption. If the mech bosses weren't going to be a breeze before, they certainly were now. Thus, I used the mechanical worm and summoned the destroyer. Oh, he's dead. Searching for the souls of light required for Prime and the twins, I almost shit my pants at the sound the companion cube made after falling into the lava. It must have been a rare sound or something, because the first time I dipped him in lava, he didn't seem too fussed about it. Moving on, I created both the remaining mech summons and used all those light fruit I'd gotten in the temple. When night fell, I prepared to take on— oh, he's dead. Oh, they're dead. Well, I guess Plantera was next. As I looked for a bulb, I found 1,700 Terra toilets, and of course, took them with me. I also happened upon 68 Moonlord treasure bags. Nothing too interesting. Only got me a legendary Terrarian and— oh my god, what is that? Anyway, after about half an hour of searching, I finally found a Plantera bulb and— oh, she's dead. Although it was closer than the mechs, admittedly. Next up was Golem, and you get the drill. I had a legendary Terrarian, a Rod of Harmony, and a Starboard. How couldn't I win? After taking care of him, I made my way to the dungeon, and guess what? He's dead. After the lunatic cultists came the pillars, and this was probably the first and only time in the run where I actually struggled a little bit, because I always struggle with the pillars, and I think they're pretty lazily designed. Just a whole bunch of projectile spam. I went to defeat the solar pillar for the first time, and after dying a few times and getting considerably angry, I finally obtained those solar fragments, which I then used to make that sweet solar armor, and it was all she wrote. The other pillars went down pretty easy after that, and then impending doom approached. He's dead.